Well, we learned less today than we had anticipated that we might learn about future housing policy coming from our current government. We were expecting a housing white paper this morning that never arrived, and that was supposed to precede the autumn statement where there may have been some buttons and levers pulled to aid housing policy in the UK. We got some things, but really they are only scratched the surface of the major supply issue that we have. And those four things were the banning of letting agents' fees, which really is just like kicking the cat when looking at the major social issue that we have that's part of this housing crisis today. And really, those fees do provide a service, so we expect that the cost of that service will simply be reflected somewhere else, most likely in increased rents and then fees paid for by the landlord. So we really don't quite understand that policy. The next thing that we saw was the right to buy being increased in a regional pilot scheme, and that's not something that we support. Effectively, the sale of very key social assets simply to the lucky individuals that happen to inhabit them. We actually believe in entirely the opposite, and we support the investment into social housing that we think the government needs to do. And also, that was provided actually, there is a £1.1 billion fund that will support social housing. We're yet to see the detail of what that will do. That is relatively de minimis given the scale of the problem. But what we hope they will do is, as part of that, is look at the way that investment works into social housing, and that they will break down some of the barriers and increase the pool of investors that can invest into that market. That investment can then drive forward much greater supply and help solve that huge problem. The part of that market that we really hope that they look at is the affordable rented part, because we think that part, the squeeze middle, is the bit that is really struggling, and actually that is the part that investors can really make a big difference in. And then the fourth policy that they introduced today was an infrastructure fund. This is common sense to support some of the vast schemes that they're expecting on the edge of towns and in the garden cities, but in fact it's just a rehash of an old policy that looks at the delivery of major schemes in some of these more remote suburban locations. So we didn't learn a lot. We're hoping to learn a lot more when this housing white paper does finally arrive, and the things that we've been calling for at Aberdeen is that an independent housing policy committee is set up in much the same way as the monetary policy committee is set up, and that sets national and local targets for the delivery of housing into local authorities, and that subsequently those local authorities need to deliver those targets or they'll be penalised financially. And on the flip side of that, we believe that the development community should also be penalised for sitting on planning applications that they don't deliver once they've been given approval by that local authority. So we didn't learn as much as we'd hoped, but we wait to see what that housing paper, white paper involves. We'll see what comes and what lands on our desk.